I think that you would agree with me that if we had started on time, we would be breaking all Barbadian tradition, but we humbly apologize for the late start. The obvious bullying prevention program regards bullying as aggressive behavior that is intentional and that involves an imbalance of power. Most often, it is repeated over time. Minister of Education, Science, Technology, and Innovation, the Honorable Ronald Jones MP, members of the Board of Supreme Counseling for Personal Development, specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to warmly welcome you to the auspicious inaugural launch of the obvious bullying prevention program spearheaded by the Supreme Counseling for Personal Development. I am your Master of Ceremonies this evening, Sharita Phillips. It is equally a prestigious opportunity to introduce to you our distinguished members seated at the head table. I exploit the opportunity of introducing to you our Minister of Education, Science, Technology, and Innovation, the Honorable Ronald Jones MP. Pastor Alan Tull of the Eastern District of the Eastern Caribbean Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. Thank you. Mrs. Cheryl Arlene McIntyre, Second Certified Obvious Bullying Prevention Trainer and Consultant, Committee Member and Teacher of the Bullying Prevention Program at the Wesley Hall Primary School. And lastly, Mr. Sean Clark, CEO of Supreme Counseling for Personal Development and first obvious bullying prevention trainer and consultant. Well, we have a somewhat packed agenda this evening, don't we? So let us begin by welcoming on stage Mr. Michael Waldron, a student of the Les Devon Secondary School, and he will be rendering a song, Lean on Me. Please help me welcome him to the stage.
Good evening to everybody. Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain. We all have sorrows. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things you need to borrow, for no one can feel those of your needs that you won't let show. Just call on your brother when you need a hand. Lean on me, somebody to lean on. Hallelujah. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.
Well done, Micah. Thank you for serenading us. I must apologize. I missed recognition of one of our specially invited guests, Mr. Justin Daniel, student of the the Frederick Smith Secondary School. My humble apologies, sir. At this juncture, I wish to recognize a few key individuals, particularly members of the Wesley Hall Bullying Prevention Coordinating Committee. Please stand when I identify you, and at the end of completing the cohort, we would just acknowledge you all, and then you may be seated. We would like to invite to stand Ms. Eileen Wendt. She is the chairperson of the Bullying Prevention Coordinating Committee of the Wesley Hall Primary School. Mrs. Cheryl McIntyre, teacher of the Wesley Hall Primary School. Mrs. Marvia Paulette, also teacher of the Wesley Hall Primary School. Not here. Mrs. Sonia Welch, she is the administrator and teacher. And Mr. John Rogers, grandparent and community representative. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the committee members of the Bullying Prevention Committee for the Wesley Hall Primary School. You may be seated. I invite you to focus your attention on the projection screen to tune in to the address made by Ms. Donna Clark, project manager of the Maria Holder Memorial Trust, who was unable to join us, but she would give her keynote address. Thank you.
The Honorable Ronald Jones, Minister of Education, specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm sorry that I'm unable to address you all in person, but travel commitments took precedent. However, it is indeed a pleasure to be able to be part of the official launch of the Obvious Bullying Prevention Program, which forms part of the programs delivered by Supreme Counseling for Personal Development and is being implemented within 4 schools across the island. These schools are the Grantley Adams Memorial Secondary School, Lester Vaughan Secondary School, Frederick Smith Secondary School, and Wesley Hall Infants. The Maria Holder Memorial Trust continues to support the good work and efforts of Supreme Counseling for Personal Development, and I am sure the Board of Trustees and the executive team will share my sentiments when I say that upon the success of the pilot program, we would like to see it rolled out within all the secondary and primary schools on the island. The issue of bullying is something which parents, teachers, and community leaders cannot ignore. School staff and facilitators have been trained to identify bullying in all its guises, and I will repeat something which I spoke about previously. There must be an acceptance that bullying does exist, that it is damaging to all parties involved, and all members of the school community have a role to play in its eradication. Quite recently, there were 2 highlighted incidents of bullying which occurred at separate schools on the island. The one that stood out for me was a child who had a piece of string tied around his neck because he would not give up his lunch money. Fortunately, the matter was reported and the principal of the school took the appropriate action in notifying the relative authorities. This is a message for parents. Something that you need to continue to instill are good morals and values in your children. Teach them that they must make do with what they have, and that another person's property is not theirs to take away. I always remember as a child, my mother telling me, "Don't let me ever see you bring home something in this house which is not yours." I always had to ask permission, even to swap reading books with my classmates, because that rule was always a part of my upbringing. We have to remember that the children of today will be our leaders of tomorrow, and as such, they have to feel safe and protected in the education environment in order to grow into responsible and caring citizens. With this being said, I will reiterate that in order for this program to be successful, it requires the buy-in of the principals, guidance counselors, teachers, and other school personnel to see the importance of the Obvious Bullying Prevention Program as a necessary addition to the school curriculum. In closing, I would like to say on behalf of the Board of Trustees and executive team of the Maria Holder Memorial Trust, we wish all the schools and personnel involved in this initiative all the best in making it a success. Thank you.
These are the address by Ms. Donna Clark, project manager of the Maria Holder Trust. A hero is born among 100. A wise man is found among 1,000, but an accomplished one might not be found even among 100,000 men. Those were the words of Plato. To perform the song titled Hero, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the student from the Grantley Adams Memorial School, Miss Kashira Spooner Thornhill.
Good evening, everybody. There's a hero. If you look inside your heart, you don't have to be afraid of what you are. There's an answer if you reach into your soul, and the sorrow that you know will melt away. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you. It's a long road when you face the world alone. No one reaches out a hand for you to hold. You can find love if you search within yourself, and the emptiness you felt will disappear. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you. Oh, oh, the Lord knows dreams are hard to follow, but don't let anyone tear them away. Hold on, there will be tomorrow. In time, you'll find a way. Yeah, and then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you. That a hero lies in you. Ooh, that a hero lies in you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kashira. Excellent performance. At this time, we will recognize the members of the Grantley Adams Memorial Secondary School, members of the Prevention Bullying Committee, Coordinating Committee that is. We will follow the same procedure. So as I call your names, kindly stand for acknowledgement. Mr. Swen Griffith, he is the committee chairperson of the school. Thank you, sir. Mr. Ian Holder, deputy principal of the Grantley Adams Memorial Secondary School. Mrs. Alexandra Noel Bowen, year head of the 4th years. And Mr. Blunt, teacher of the secondary school. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the members of the Bullying Coordinating Committee. Thank you. Now to sing a song for us called I Believe is Mrs. Nadine Roberts-Tull. I invite you to help me welcome her to the stage as well. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. This is a very inspirational song that means a lot to me, and I hope and pray that it blesses your hearts as well. I believe for every drop of rain that falls, a flower grows. I believe that everyone who goes astray, a candle glows. I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone will come and show the way. I believe, I believe above the storm, the smallest prayer will still be heard. I believe that someone in the rain somewhere hears every word. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the stars, then I know why I believe. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the stars, then I know why
Now we head to the parish of St. Thomas, singing a song titled Troubled Over Bridge Waters. Sorry, Bridge Over Troubled Waters. At least I got you to laugh tonight. I invite Mr. Michael Waldron.
And you're weary, feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I will dry them all, 'cause I'm on your side. When times get rough and friends just can't be found, like a bridge over troubled water, God lay down like a breeze over troubled water. God lay down when you're down and out, and when you're on the streets, when evening falls so hard, I will comfort you, 'cause I'll take your heart. When darkness comes and pain is all around, like a breeze over troubled water, God lay down like a breeze over troubled water. God lay down like a bridge over troubled water. God lay down.
Talk about talented youth. Staying in this parish of St. Thomas, we will recognize the Leicester Vaughan Bullying Preventing Coordinating Committee. So, once again, when I mention your name, please stand. Mrs. Rosalind Gibson, she is the chairperson of the committee. Miss Sandra Goodrich, acting principal. Miss Suzette Clark, year head of the 4th year. Mr. Carson Bancroft, he's the year head of the 1st year. He's not here. Miss Angela Bryan from the ancillary staff. And Mrs. Rita Batson. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please acknowledge the Bullying Prevention Committee of the Leicester Vaughan School. To deliver his address, please welcome the walking tower of knowledge, a man with much innovation and devotion, the Chief Executive Officer of Supreme Counseling for Personal Development, Mr. Sean Clark.
Like a bridge over troubled waters, I believe that there is a hero. You can clap for that. The Honorable Ronald Jones, Minister of Education, Science, Technology, and Innovation, members of the head table, particularly Mr. Justin Daniel, a Supreme Being and a student of the Frederick Smith Secondary School, Ms. Judith Maskell, representative of the Maria Holder Memorial Trust, representatives of the Ministry of Education, Science, Technology, and Innovation, representatives of other government departments, members of the boards of management and trustees of Supreme Counseling for Personal Development, Mrs. Cheryl Aline McIntyre, certified Orveus trainer and consultant, members of the school's bullying prevention coordinating committees, other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, representatives of the media Good evening to one and all. Good evening to one and all. I like that. I stand before you this evening at the launch of the OVS Bullying Prevention Program with somewhat a bitter-sweet feeling. Sweet because we in Supreme Counseling for Personal Development continue to play our part of bringing initiatives to this country to assist with the positive development of our young people. But bitter because there is a rising need for such an initiative. This problem once considered a rite of passage and on damaging behavior that helps build character or a normal, unavoidable part of growing up is now known to have long-term academic, physical, and emotional effects on both the target and the person exhibiting the bullying behaviors. Taunts, social isolation, rejection, gossip, pushing, shoving, and tripping were often dismissed as child's play or simply children being children. Bullied children were told, "Don't let it get to you. You are too sensitive. Toughen up. Are you a sissy?" The problem with this approach, my friends, is while some children have the confidence and social skills to stop bullying when it happens, many do not. Let us get this clear from the outstart, that bullying is abuse, and expecting a victim of abuse to handle it on their own is unrealistic. After all, we don't tell victims of traditional child abuse or domestic violence to toughen up or just not let it get to them. Can you imagine living in a Barbadian society if this was the case? Bullying is peer abuse, and it must be treated as such. It is an extensive dilemma in our schools and communities and has an unconstructive impact on school climate and on students' right to learn in a protected and secure environment without fear. The effects of bullying are far-reaching in schools and on the well-being of young people. In schools where bullying occurs, children tend to feel uneasy and troubled, even those who have not been directly victimized. There's a general school climate of tension and intimidation, not surprisingly, reducing engagement in learning across the whole school. If students do not feel safe at our schools, it is not surprising they find it difficult to focus on schoolwork. It is also more difficult for teachers who spend a great deal of their day focusing on behavior management problems rather than their real work of teaching. Students who engage in bullying behaviors and disrupt school seem to have a need to feel powerful and in control. OVS 1993 states that they appear to gain contentment from imposing injury and affliction on others. They seem to have little compassion for their victims and time and again defend their actions by saying that their victims aggravated them in some way. Studies indicate that bullies often come from homes where physical punishment is used, where the children are taught to strike back physically as a way to handle problems, and where parental involvement and warmth are frequently lacking. This is the view again of OVS in 1993, where he purports that students who regularly display bullying behaviors are generally deviant or oppositional towards adults, they are antisocial, and they are apt to break school rules. There is little evidence to support the contention that persons exhibiting bullying behaviors victimize others because they feel bad about themselves. When bullies are allowed to engage in aggressive behavior at a young age without effective intervention from parents and/or the school system, they are at significantly greater risk for negative outcomes later in life. In addition, the bullying behavior is often accompanied by other conduct disordered behaviors. In fact, again, my boss, Dr. Ovias, has found that bullies were more likely than non-bullies to engage in vandalism, shoplifting, truancy, and substance abuse. This behavior pattern during childhood and adolescence greatly increases the likelihood that these individuals will engage in antisocial behaviors as adults. Furthermore, Ovius has found that individuals who bullied during grades 6 through 9, that's first to fourth form, were significantly more likely to have criminal convictions at age 23 when compared to individuals who had no involvement in bullying. My friends, you may be wondering what kind of rain conditions create aggressive children. In light of the characterization of the bullies as having an aggressive reaction pattern, this is, they display aggressive behavior in many different situations. It becomes important to examine the question, what kind of rearing or other conditions during childhood are conducive to the development of an aggressive reaction pattern? 4 factors have been found to be particularly important. First, the basic emotional attitude of the parents, mainly that of the primary caregiver, usually the mother, towards the boy is very important. Maybe, in particular, the emotional attitude during his earliest years. A negative bias or a negative basic attitude characterized by lack of warmth and involvement clearly increases the risk that the boy will later become aggressive and hostile towards others. A second important factor is the extent to which the primary caregiver has been permissive and allowed aggressive behavior on the part of the child. If the caretaker is generally permissive and tolerant without setting clear limits to aggressive behavior towards peers, siblings, and adults, the child's level of aggression is likely to increase. We can summarize these results by stating that too little love and too much freedom in childhood are conditions that strongly contribute to the development of an aggressive reaction pattern. A third factor that has been found to raise the child's level of aggression is the parent's use of power assertion or power assertive child rearing methods such as physical punishment and violent emotional outbursts. This finding supports the notion that violence begets violence. It is important to set limits to and impose certain rules on a child's behavior, but it should not be done with the use of excessive physical punishment and the like. Finally, the temperament of the child also plays a part in the development of an aggressive reaction pattern. A child with an active and hot-headed temperament is more likely to develop into an aggressive youngster than a child with an ordinary or more quiet temperament. The effect of this factor is smaller, however, than those of the 2 conditions mentioned above. These are main trends. Individual cases, other factors may have been central, may appear partly different. Nonetheless, these results in combination with other research on childhood conditions give rise to the following important conclusion. Love and involvement from the person or persons who raised the child, well-defined limits on which behaviors are permitted and which are not, and the use of non-physical methods of child rearing create harmonious and independent children. This conclusion is likely to hold true for both boys and girls, and the factors described are important for boys or for both younger and older children. As children become teenagers, it is also essential that the parents try to supervise the child's activities outside of school reasonably well, and to monitor what he or she does and who his or her friends are. Most unwanted activities, including bullying and antisocial or criminal behavior, tend to take place when the parents do not know what the child is doing or when there or other adults are absent. The main factors that are important in the development of an aggressive reaction pattern are not independent of the relationships between the adults in the family. Frequent conflicts, discord, or open arguments between parents, whether or not they lead to divorce, will create insecure relationships for children and are related to use of the less suitable methods of child rearing discussed above. In any case, to avoid positive damage, parents should refrain from involving the child as an ally in conflicts with the other party. Some research indicates that when parental conflicts are handled in privacy by the parents, there are few negative effects than when they are enacted in front of the children. It is also interesting to note which factors are not related to boys' aggression level in the aforementioned studies. We hear a lot about the socio-economic conditions of the family, including the level of income, lack of parental education, and standard of housing and such are one such factor. There are thus aggressive and non-aggressive students in similar proportions in all social classes. And the same is true for students who are victims. Accordingly, it is not possible to explain that fact that a student is bullied or is a victim as a consequence of poor socio-economic conditions of the family. Nor did any research find any association between the family's socio-economic conditions and the four factors of child rearing mentioned above. The proportion of good and less good parents were approximately the same at all socio-economic levels. So far, we have not yet conducted very detailed analysis of the child rearing methods involved in the development of victim problems. There is nothing to indicate, however, that the typical passive victim have lacked love or care. For example, the results mentioned above showed that victims were closer to and had more positive relationships with their parents, in particular their mothers, than did students or boys in general. But to decrease the risk that an anxious and insecure child will develop into a victim, it is important that parents try to help their children toward greater independence, greater self-confidence, and the ability to assert himself or herself amongst his or her peers. Well, ladies and gentlemen, they say I can talk a lot, so it is at this time I will conclude my presentation, and I will inform you that bullying has a negative impact on all societies today, and some definite action must be taken to rid our schools and our communities from the devastating effects of this thing called bullying. This can be a harm, and it can create serious negative effects on the learning of children. It therefore is the responsibility of all adults to ensure that school is a safe environment in which children can learn. Supreme Counseling for Personal Development have taken up the challenge. We have tried since the year 2009 to do all within our power to assist students in this country, because we believe, because I personally believe as the CEO of Supreme Counseling, that we need to work with our children. Bullying must now be seen, Mr. Minister, sir, like tourism. It must become everybody's business. We can no longer sit and believe that because we have a child who goes to church every Saturday or every Sunday, devotion with the family every Wednesday evenings, prayer every morning, you have a well-rounded child. But the reality, ladies and gentlemen, is that your child is going into a school and sitting in a classroom with students, some 28 or 29 more students, that I will put to you, without fear of contradiction, that those children will have more impact on your child than you think you would ever have. So we cannot continue with what have crept into our culture, that it ain't my business. It ain't got nothing to do with me. Don't come home and tell me about I want here. It has to be the business of all of us. Supreme Counseling cannot do it alone. We want to walk hand in hand with the Ministry of Education. We want to walk hand in hand with the Ministry of Social Care, Community Development. We want to walk hand in hand with probation, with the Child Care Board, with each and every school in this country, with each and every individual in Barbados, because at the end of the day, when those things continue to happen in our schools, it is not because the mother or the father of that particular child failed him or her. It is that the society has failed that child. And we have a role to play. I am ready to play that role. I'm sure Mrs. Eileen McIntyre is ready to play that role. But sir, as I close, we want to do it with the help and with the assistance of the Ministry of Education, because we realize that it cannot be done only by Supreme Counseling. It cannot be done only by the Ministry of Education. We extend our hands to you, sir. And we ask that you embrace us and that you walk with us. I oblige and may God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Clark, for your realistic, informative words. Shifting from St. Thomas, we head to St. James. Please help me welcome Miss Nakisha Lavia, a talented young lady of the school, Frederick Smith Secondary, serenading the song, My Advice.
When I was 6, I wanted to be 7. When I was 7, I had to be 8. I always wanted to be grown up. I was enthusiastic always. My mother begged me to slow my roll. Nakisha, you must learn how to wait. But me with my big-headed purple stuff, I learned my lesson to live. I used to go to bed early just to dream of what I wanted to be. Actress and reporter, I had to be in my TV. But the cities I know, the more I grow, the more destructive I would be. So after 13 years that I was studying, I was out there chasing money. It's gone to me. Young girls, take your time to grow. In this life, you only get one chance. You do not live twice. I was just the one to say they was leading down the wrong way. Turn your dreams into reality. Young girls, please don't make the same mistake as me. Why did I die? Why? Never tried to show Jesus running, but I had most guaranteed right. And if I going from point A to point B, you know I didn't catch you no time. 15 years old, still got school, gotta barely get how cheap understand. But I could order to 3 with the school battery. I get picked up by a car man. Not a pepper day, come and see whether it was to be bright or to 6 feet. And if you check the truth, even for those I show you would see some army. No matter how bright was my hair and my nails always look sexy. Cause partying was priority number 1. friends couldn't believe their eyes when they see my stomach start to rise. I assumed they knew I was sexually active, but they were acting surprised. That they gave me when I admitted, told me that's what I had of my life. And then to say hello to get back and tell me get the hell of their life. I had no idea what to do, no idea what was in store for me. And to back it once I wasn't certain of who was my baby daddy. But that's that time I get to them nearly kill them instantly. Cause not only was I pregnant, but I had contracted HIV. It's gone. Young girl, take your time. So girl, in this life you only get one chance. You're so not do it twice. Listen to what your elders say. They won't lead you down the wrong way. Turn your dreams into reality. Young girl, please don't make the same mistake as me. Well, I died, oh, I died, oh, I.
Thank you, Nakisha. I think that deserves another round of applause. Members of the Frederick Smith Bullying Prevention Committee, it is your turn. It is with great honor that we acknowledge Mrs. Sherry Ann Holford, Chairperson and Guidance Counselor. Please stand. Not here? Okay. Mr. Leslie Lett, he's a teacher of the school. Okay. Mrs. Ann Griffith, thank you. Somebody's here. Miss Gloria Hines, another teacher of the school. Miss Kim Smith. Miss Kim Smith is a teacher. Mrs. Julianne Romeo. Mr. Simeon Nichols, custodian. And Miss Donna Clark, community person. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the Bullying Prevention Coordinating Committee. As a beneficiary of free, high-quality education in Barbados, as a teacher for more than 3 decades, and as a bold, articulate, and outspoken champion of the rights of ordinary Barbadians, he has never swayed from his conviction that education is the greatest liberating force in human life. He passionately believes that one of the most important preconditions of human development is the creation of an environment that is conducive to learning. For him, education is also a lifelong process and should be used by all Barbadians in pursuit of the vision of Barbados as an independent, just, and prosperous society. As such, one of his countless major achievements so far has been the formulation of the Barbados Human Resource Development Strategy, 2011 to 2016. This strategy forms the basis of a comprehensive, coordinated, and multi-sectoral effort to fully develop the highly valued human capital of Barbados. Ladies and gentlemen, to give the featured address, please stand as we welcome the Honorable Mr. Ronald Jones, MP.
Please. All distinguished members of the head table, the President of the Barbados Association of Principals of Public Secondary Schools, Mr. Paris, representative of the Child Care Board. The name just dropped out of my head, so don't blame me. Okay? Don't spank me, please. Representatives of the Ministry of Education, I see our senior psychologist present, all principals of the various schools and members of staff of those schools, all other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, distinguished as you are as well. Good evening to all of you. Sometimes when you are sitting and you're being introduced, if you're not tracking the program, you start to wonder, who are they talking about? It's only as I look back at the program that I believe Sharita was trying to give an introduction to myself that sometimes not deserved, but be that as it may. I am not in possibly the best of spirits this evening because, you know, a lot of issues all around and the impact on you from time to time. Let me compliment those young people who came either here or stood in the front and delivered their various songs. I am always very, very pleased, really, to see our young people at that age standing before an audience, any type of audience, really, and have that capacity, that verve and that energy to truly deliver. And I reflect on my own childhood. I'm not saying that I was a victim of bullying. I don't remember ever being bullied by anybody, really. And I was not a bully myself, but when either in church or in school at 13, 14, 15, you really didn't want to face anybody on a stage for 4, 5, or 6 minutes or anything like that. And therefore, our young people have truly matured. They have voice, and therefore, they must use that voice not only in good song, but also in strong words to protect themselves and to protect others from whatever impacts upon them in a very negative way. They must also use voice in a strong way to speak out about what impacts them positively. Because if a society becomes mired in only the negative, that society dies. It does not have the strength, in truth and in fact, to carry on. Mr. Clark spoke quite eloquently to signs and symptoms of bullying. You know, all of us went to some school at some time. A lot of us went to boys' schools because in the primary or elementary sector, we had almost strict division of schools by gender in the 50s and in the 60s, and some in the 70s. Now we have nearly all co-educational or mixed gender schools in Barbados. And in the boys' school, I can't speak to the girls' school, even though there was a necessary attraction. So sometimes you might want to go there. I do not know at that young age what was the pull for boys to leave the boys' school and venture either up or down to the girls' school. There had to be something nice, I believe. But in the boys' school, there was rough play, and you have to distinguish between rough play and bullying, which is truly an intentional act by someone to affect you personally. So, but now that there's so much talk, I mean, I've read years ago about bullying in the United States, phasing, is it called phasing? What's it? Hazing. And then on reflection, you start to recognize that in your own country, there's always been bullying. And it's interesting because in a cultural context, and I believe Sean was speaking a bit to this, where persons will tell you, man, toughen up, be a man. Or on the other side, they will tell you if you're being bullied, lick you down, mash you up. This is the Barbados that, on reflection, we know about. But should we take the negative into the present or into the future? That which damages the soul of human beings, damages the soul of young people. That is what we have to address. You know, recently, my secretary brought to me a very thick document with several signatures on it. Persons who ostensibly said that they were concerned about bullying, and they went around collecting these signatures, these names, and asked that we take action. Of course, let me say my first response was, why send me a list of names? I really don't want any names. I really don't want any signatures. I want you, as a citizen of Barbados, to act. I want you to speak out. Sending a whole long list of names to the Minister of Education doesn't solve the reality. All it says is that we're aware. I just don't want awareness. I want action on your part. So the time that, I mean, I respected, you know, them for what they did, but the time that you sat down and walked around the community collecting signatures or wherever you went, you could have been talking to people and telling them, become engaged. There's something happening out there that is, in fact, damaging the psyche of the nation. And that's what I want. We are always too willing to pass it off to somebody else. We are always too willing to say it is Mr. Pars's responsibility, or Ms. Goodridge's responsibility, or Mr. Phillips' responsibility, or Mr. Holder's responsibility. It is the teacher's responsibility. It's always somebody else's responsibility. It is never my responsibility. So I stand on the side and I condemn when something blossoms and bursts out and infects everything else. I say it is your fault. It is never my fault, because it is comfortable always to say it is never my fault. But we have to see the issue of bullying in very broad terms. Why? Why? We have to ask ourselves the question, why? And let me recognize Faith Marshall Harris. I didn't deliberately leave you out. It's just that, you know how it is. You know, an advocate for children. You need to recognize her. She's doing some good work. So we must see it in a wider context. What causes a male or female, young or old, domestic violence is a graduation of bullying among the youth. We call it behaviors among people by slightly different terminology, slightly different names. But it's rife, not only in Barbados, but among human beings across the world. Why do we behave that way to each other? Why would I seek to deprive you of what is yours? Why would I wrap the string or cord or whatever around the neck of another individual? Why would I shake you down? You know what that means? Shaking you. Why would I shake you down? And these are questions we have to answer, not simply look for the simple because we get simple remedies. But we have to dig deeper to find out the complexity of all of this. Some years ago, I made a statement. So I'm not going to make those kinds of statements again in my life. Even though within a Christian environment that we say we live in, or that we live in, and we use the Bible as the base of our existence, then we have to recognize certain things. There's evil in the world. I'm talking about the other one that I mentioned and I didn't got to it. There's evil in the world. There is lack of respect for each other. So I'm going to deprive a former student of mine sitting here in the front, young Hines, of what is his must become mine. And I'm going to get it by any means necessary. That's what I'm going to do. So we have to look deeper into the being called the human being. We have to look at how that mind is structured. There is a view, I might not necessarily support that view, it might be real, that bullies, criminals, and all of them might have been so from the beginning, the conception. There is that view. There is the view that they are cultured to be so. And Sean spoke a lot to the culturing of individuals to be bullies. Well, if it is simply culture, we just need to change the culture. If it is simply that, we need to change the culture. Neuroscience is now delving deeper into the complexity of man's mind. Why don't we love everybody that we encounter? But why? Why do some people rub me the wrong way and they have not even opened their mouths? I don't mean me personally. I'm just capturing it within a given context. What it is that you might give off that affects me, and I want, therefore, to affect you. What is it have you detected in me that you don't like? That's why I'm speaking about the complexity of our existence and just not simple remedies to complex questions. We have to delve deeper, we have to dig deeper. Recently we had a meeting in the Ministry of Education with the executive of the Association of Principals of Public Schools. A very good meeting, in fact. I believe Mr. Parsons was one of the more progressive meetings that I've had with most people in a long time. I thank you. I thank you for that. And what that is saying, Sean, is that we all must work together to understand and to make a difference, to change people. Because if people don't change, if they don't go through that change, that modification of self, then we're going to continue to have bullying. We're going to continue to have persons preying on others, preying on the defenseless. And not that because what we call the defenseless can't defend themselves, but they are born differently and they're cultured differently. We have had instances in this country where the individual who was being bullied or intimidated strike back. But even in striking back, you too can face punishment. There was a story told in Barbados years ago. There was this tough fellow who wrapped his hands around a fellow's throat from the back and tried choking him. And the fellow had a knife in his pocket, and he was able to get his hand in his pocket and released the blade and release me, and stabbed him up several times, and he died. Normally, that individual would have been going along his way. The penknife was to cut some cane and use the juice. It wasn't to do anything else. Let's say that. Normally, that individual would not become involved in that kind of behavior because it was not part of his psyche. But he had reached the point of no return. In our schools, there are some children who reached the point of no return. That is what happened. Because they might have gone through different stages of being bullied. And now, particularly if you're a male, and how males are cultured to defend and to protect self or others, you're going to get some of that behavior in order to protect themselves. And you because of your bullying tactics, have made, quote unquote, a criminal out of that individual. Still has to face the courts, might eventually get off once all the evidence is in fact provided. But you have to go through the trauma of going before the court. When Faith Marshall Harris was there going before her, she had a gentle heart. She brought him up to the bench and hugged him. Be a nice boy, girl, whatever. You know, we reach out in many ways that we can. Today, with the onset of the expansion of technology and the use of the internet, the World Wide Web, it has even now graduated beyond mere contact in the classroom, mere contact on Earth. It is now up in space. And the internet is full of what is referred to as cyberbullying. The nasty things being said by young schoolgirls to each other. No longer are the walls of the toilet written up. We are writing up space now, digital space. And we are attacking they're attacking each other. They're getting into little groups and saying terrible things about somebody, you know. Some of it not true, some might be true, but that doesn't mean. A lot of it is not true. A lot of it is to cause hurt, is to cause pain, because for some reason, those individuals who come together and who gang up might not like that individual. It's complex, not easy to solve. But we should not step back. We have to be a constant force in the face of all of it. Let's call bullying what it is, really. It is a criminal act, straight up and simple. Sometimes when we talk about bullying, it sounds sexy. It's bullying. I'm choosing my words carefully. I add the Y. It is called bullying. It is a criminal act. When I deprive you of your valuables, of your cell phone, of your pen, pencil, your lunch money, that's a criminal act. You're taking possession of something that is not yours. And you might assault me to get it. That's a criminal act that is already covered by the laws of our country. We need to enforce the laws. Not because you're young that you become sympathetic and say, well, your mother didn't give you enough breast milk. We offer excuses. And yet on the other side, we have seen people who've come through some of the harshness of deprivation. But they don't bully anybody. They look to transform and to change their lives and to make a significant difference to the development of themselves, their families, their community, and their country. So bullying is a criminal act and we must root it out. We must root it out. The damage which is caused to the psyche of some people by bullying is tremendous. Some people become psychotic. Fear envelops them, and this psychosis develops. There's some people who retreat into their homes and don't want to ever leave. And we cannot keep shifting students either the person who is being bullied or the person that is the bully from school to school, school hopping, you know, so you're expelled, you're under 16 years, and the law says that you must be educated at least compulsorily up to 16. So you can't keep shifting from school A to school B to school C. Because if the one who is being bullied ends up in school Y and being bullied there, where am I going to put them now? You know, they put so much responsibility on the minister because the law says the Minister of Education must find space for them somewhere. That's in the law. Should give the responsibility to Mr. Paris and the principals. Find space for children. I would feel so much better among all the other pressures that I have to face. People going home and things. That really takes your energy, doesn't it? Don't laugh, it's serious business. So, simple gossiping is also bullying. Exclusion of the others from the player group. Intrusion, see she? You know, good, you know, I saw she out last night. This poor girl was home watching some picture. I'm not going to say which picture, but watching something. But you're going to gossip about her and in Barbados, as we say, give her a bad name. So it is serious. And therefore, the effort by Supreme Counseling for Personal Development is one of many efforts that must all conjoin. The efforts of the schools, very, very focused, Mr. Phillips, and determined efforts of the schools to root out bullying within the school. You can't do it alone. It's impossible. It's impossible. I recognize that. So a total community, just like it takes a village to raise, as we say in Barbados, is really rare, but raise a child. It takes a total community to working together, all the agencies, private, public, CBOs, NGOs, official, unofficial, working together, saying to our people, saying to our young people, there is a better way. We have to create a consciousness of being, a spirit, to make a difference. When I harm you, I should know that I'm harming myself because I harm you. Because in reality, we are nothing more than a collective. That's what we are. We are nothing more than a collective. When you pain, I must feel pain. Because we are joined. If you believe in the Bible, Adam and Eve, the beginning and all of that, you know what I mean? All from the same tree, the same branch, same roots really, the same seed. So we are all part of a collective consciousness. And if a part of that collective consciousness is hurt, is damaged, I must feel it. You must feel it. And we have to train our young people to be conscious of others. Think before you act. We have to constantly drill down into their minds, into their emotions, into their beings, that really we are blood, and you cut that, it is released, and if you don't get it stopped quickly enough, you die. If you bash my head in, if you wrap a string or cord or rope around my neck, you can cut off my air supply and I'm going to die. It is about life and living and a protection of life that is important. So if you, Alex, yeah, I call you too, teaching in school, whatever you teach, but you come across a peculiar situation. Don't put it off because you have to teach what you're supposed to teach. Forget about that because it will make no difference. You try to change the soul of that boy or girl in the class and let the others become part of that environment. There's no learning that has been lost. Learning takes place in a very short time if children are focused. Very short time. 40 hours, you're going to do an exam. Short time. Go sleep one night, get the next morning, go and do it. Use the opportunity to reinforce. At your assemblies, use the opportunity to reinforce. Don't shame and blame. I don't support those tactics. I don't support them. The one you shame has been shamed many times before. The one you want to beat upon, the one you want to give corporal punishment to has been beaten many times before. It makes no difference. Unless you can convert the soul, the being, that is where the difference will be. We ask our schools to do so many things. As Minister of Education, I used to teach, and I know how tough it was. It is tougher now. Lord, sometimes I pray for you all. I don't pray for you all the time because someone is giving me some trouble sometimes too. It is tougher now because the environment is changing each and every day. The more we do, the more we say we want to become developed, the more problematic it seems. The better off we are with our gross domestic product, the more money that we have in our pockets seems to make us worse individuals somehow. That's a contradiction. So somebody said, give me more money, I'll be a better person. No. You become greedier. You try to snatch all for yourself. You don't care if the folks around suffer. Not everybody, by the way. Again, it's the complexity of life. Over the next several months, we will continue to engage the stakeholders in our efforts to roll this out. Our efforts, our programs, engaging the principals, primary and secondary schools, nursery schools too, everybody to make this a deliberate effort, focus, get the guidance counselors to be speaking a little more to our children, engaging the other agencies, in the private and public sector, like Supreme Counseling and Child Care Board, and who else ever has Probation Office, Child Advocate, and all of these people. We have to work harder than we have been working before. The country cannot carry the scars of damaged people. There are too many. The uncorrected bully of today is the graduated criminal of tomorrow. And for that graduated criminal, we have to spend per year between $45,000 and $50,000. Our secondary schools, it takes about $3,000, $4,000 to educate a child per year. $4,000 to educate a child. 10 times that to keep a criminal up in St. Philip. Long may they stay up there. Well, I don't mean Philippines. Philippines get very itchy. Let's go looking for Ronald Jones. 10 times that. So we have to work at the base. I would prefer that money in education rather than being spent on prison guards and feeding people 3 or 4 meals a day. I hear 4, I don't know. I've never been up there. I'm not saying that I can't go, I don't know. I will try not to go. Because it's not only the $40,000 or $45,000 I'm told that you get up there. I can almost read your minds. You all are dangerous people. And it is also the individual who is bullied. I alluded to that before. He has to spend tremendous amounts of money on that individual to have that self-correction take place in that individual. So I'm going to join with Sean and call on all of us, on the entire nation, to one, be vigilant, Speak to them. There are people today who see two children on the street fighting and they pass by. That didn't happen in Barbados in the 50s, 60s, or 70s. It's unfortunate. Everybody has now these individual rights. I care for myself alone. So I pass by on the other side. Or, in some instances, just like the children gather around and clap and scream and take out cell phones and do recording, I stop and watch too. Who killing each other there? Show me. This is what we have become. Unless we change ourselves, unless we change our spirits, unless we change our souls, those young people are going to change them for us as we get older. The wrought iron is not protection enough, or will not be protection enough. The deadbolts are very alive when the fellow who is trained and opens them up. You don't care how dead they are. So what we do is also protection of ourselves from those who will graduate. Let me once again, therefore, compliment Sean Clark and Supreme Counseling for Personal Development for this effort. They've always placed themselves on the cutting edge of being involved, of being engaged, of being committed to young people, to the nation as a whole. You join what we're already doing in schools among principals and teachers and guidance counselors, what we're doing in the ministry. You're joining an effort. More have to come on board in this effort to make a difference. I would want to compliment the 4 schools who are here today. I believe the one at Lester Vaughan, I have to resort to Wesley Hall, Grantley Adams, Lester Vaughan, and Frederick Smith for the initial effort. But let's understand that committees are one thing, coordinating or otherwise. We like in this country to set up a lot of committees and most of them don't do anything. Just to have the name again. We have the school positive behavior management program. We now have this coordinating committee for bullying. Let them work, make them work. I want to hear about the 3rd and the 4th committee on something and the 5th committee. It means that something is not succeeding. We have to reap success among our children. We have to reduce the incidence of bullying, the incidence of bad behavior, the incidence of children not coming to school on time. When I hear in the media that children, come to school at 9:30, I'm going to tell children this, really, and we're going to look to implement it, hopefully. This country pays a high price, a heavy cost for education. High, substantial. We put in place an 2008 free bus fare regime, costs $6-something million a year. Bus hopping must cease. And therefore, I hope with the support of Cabinet coming soon, we're going to give you a deadline when you can take the public transportation system. Otherwise, you're going to have to pay. You're going to have to pay. I'm serious. Mock sport is foolish sport. Get school. Too costly an endeavor. So if we say that by 8:45 or 9, we haven't settled on the definitive time, that you must be in school sitting down getting something in your head. If you take the bus after that, pull out the $2. That even wouldn't be subsidized. If Transport Board charged $3, you pay. Because parents have to push their children to get to school, and you have to be responsible. You got to stop playing around in the country. Have to stop. You do too much playing around. Get serious. So that will be coming downstream. Hopefully, short. They give you enough notice. And this is the first notice. Too much foolishness. And what hurts me, I'm going to shut up now. You say Sean likes to talk a lot, I don't. That's a joke, laugh. Look, the persons that are really being affected the most in this behavior are those who can least afford not being educated in this country. And that hurts me. That pains me significantly, because it means that the circle or cycle of poverty will continue. Will continue. Research has shown many of the areas from which these children come. And if you can't break up that behavior at the level of the school and at the level of the community, something is wrong. We have to break it up. We have to try every mechanism necessary. Get to school and learn well. And if I had as good a voice as that young lady from Frederick Smith, I would sing one of Sparrow. Children go to school and learn well. Otherwise, you will Springer. Otherwise, later in life, you will smell real hell. Yeah, you sounded better than Sparrow, but anyway. That's why you know you get older. He's dead now, isn't he? He's still living? That fella's not dead at all. Still living. They go on, but it is important to hold on to something in life, and education is important to hold on to. It has a transformative effect. Clear the mind. Get rid of some of the rubbish and the trash out of the head. And let the gray matter, frontal lobe or frontal cortex, take you to places that you can go. There are good examples all around. Very good examples. I expect everybody assembled here to be part of the effort, to be part of the package of solutions that we have to bring to make a difference in the lives of those who bully and those who are bullied. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister Jones, for your weighty words of wisdom. Tonight is winding down very smoothly, and what is the saying? All good things must come to an end. We are at the last 3 items of our agenda, and 2 songs will be performed right now. So I would like to invite Mr. Benjamin. He's visiting us from Jamaica, and he will be performing a song called Bullying, and he will be followed by our renowned Peter Ram, also performing a song, Bullying.
Oh, na na na, certain things we are stand for, like being a bully. Oh, na na na, certain things we are stand for, like being a bully. Hear me now, man. Stop the bullying, that ain't cool. That we are pushing at the streets of school. Stop the bullying, that ain't right. Treat the brother and young sister right. Stop the bullying. That we are pushing at the streets of school. Stop the bullying, yeah, and abroad. We show them that can't be too hard. Enough is enough. Bullying has to go. Stop it out of society is the plan, yo. Can't do it alone, need the system, bro. Feel fight against it and get no flow. The bullying thing is to get out. And in the school, see how many fans. We no want that in the island. So tell them, stop the bullying. That ain't cool. Like we are pushing at the streets of school. Stop the bullying. That ain't right. Treat your brother and your sister right. Stop the bullying. That ain't cool. Like we are pushing at the streets of school. Stop the bullying. Yard and abroad. We show love that can't be too hard. Come everybody, we need to take part. It don't really matter where the bullying starts. Eradicate and stop it out fast. I want to free a bully so that we end up. All of them here see why intimidate. Yo, we don't need none of that in the place. Peace and love would be from the base. The bullying thing negative, we tell them straight. Stop the bullying, that ain't cool. That we are pushing on the streets of school. Stop the bullying, it ain't right. Treat your brother, your sister like we say. Stop the bullying, that ain't cool. That we are pushing on the streets of school. Stop the bullying, yeah, that's a grab. Show them that can't be too hard. No cool about it. That's why we can't promote it. You see the bullying, nothing no nice about it. That's why we raise my voice about it. You see the bullying, nothing no cool about it. That's why we can't promote it. You see the bullying, nothing no nice about it. That's why we raise my voice about it. Hey, stop the bullying, that ain't cool. That we are pushing on the streets of school. Stop the bullying, that ain't right. Treat your brother and your sister like we say. Stop the bullying, that ain't cool. That we are pushing on the streets of school. Stop the bullying, y'all and a brat. Just show love that can't be too hard. We say, stop the bullying, that ain't cool. That we are pushing on the streets of school. Stop the bullying. Treat your brother and your sister like we say. Stop the bullying. That we are pushing on the streets of school. Stop the bullying, yard and abroad. To show love that can't be too hard. Stop being a bully, we don't need it. Stop being a bully, cause we don't need it. Don't be a bully. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I forgot to invite you to boogie in your seats. Mr. Peter Ram, sir, the stage is yours.
Good night, people. Don't stop, don't play. But you know, today is my birthday, the 3rd of February. So give me a round of applause, right? Give me a round of applause. Right, it's a serious thing, bro. It's a serious thing up in St. George. You know, I come from St. George, and we realize that with them saying on the block, them take it to the school. So, like, this body from ISIS versus this body from the next part. So when you go to school and you see if another fella know from ISIS, is a little war, chop, both thing, and we can't work with that at all. We don't want that at all. So if they don't want that, they give another round of applause. There we go, there we go. Yeah. Shh. Yeah, man. Boom, 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 boom. How was going on, Sean? You can come a little more so that I can hear better. That we do. Come again for me now. We got a t-shirt, you know. Right. Eh? Come on, Pastor Jones, man. Mr. Jones? Yeah. Go school to learn, don't go school to fight. This bullying thing, then not right. Education is a must, don't fight on the bus. Remember the book more mighty than the night. So all who agree with me, stop the bullying right now. We wanna on left to right. And join the campaign to bring counseling, cause bullying no on every school side. Stop the bullying. Stop the bullying. What? Stop the bullying. Little boy, little girl, brethren and sisters, bullying thing, mashing up the school system. Stand up, everybody, form this up and stop this foolishness. I hope you're listening. Don't hit nobody, not bitch, nobody skin straight to the headmaster. You will be jonesing. Show all up, taking the learning. Don't follow the campaign and sing. Yo, go school to learn, don't go school to fight this bullying thing. But you know, it not right. Education is a must. Don't fight on the bus. Remember the book more mighty than the night. All who agree with me, stop the bullying right now. We have one on left to right. And join the campaigns to bring counseling. Stop bullying no on every school side. Jones again. Stop the bullying. Stop the bullying. Mr. Jones, stop. Stop the bullying. Stop the bullying. You know this one, this bullying thing live next door to a crime. Was never that bad in my school time. School work no to turn up. Every lunchtime it is a pitch marble and 10 girls thirsty. No more books in the bag, it's AKN94 Dukes Day. Do what they can't find. Tonight is the night where we draw the line. Stop the bullying for the last time. Come again. Go school to learn, don't go school to fight. Stop bullying the children, they think they're right. Education is a must, don't fight on the bus. Remember the book more mighty than the life. All who agree with me, stop the bullying right now. We upon the hand left to right. And join the campaigns to bring counseling. Stop bullying, no point. Every school side was a joke. Bullying. 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 Yeah, man, that's that. The bullying and dance. Stop the bullying. Stop the bullying. Yeah, thank you very much.
Enjoyable performance. I would like to invite all media hosts to the kickoff event that the committee coordinating committees, what's happening tonight, will be hosting, particularly on Tuesday, February 4th, that would be taking place at the Frederick Smith School. On Wednesday, February 5th, it will take place at the Lester Vaughan School. On Thursday, February 6th, the Grantley Adams School. And on Friday, February 7th, at the Wesley Hall Primary School. On this day, students will be sporting basically the t-shirt of the bullying prevention program. Bullying can affect everyone, those who are bullied, those who bully, and those who witness bullying. Bullying is linked to nothing more than many negative outcomes, including impacts on mental health, substance use, and possibly suicide. It is up to all of us to be anti-bullying ambassadors and to change the norms surrounding bullying. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our obvious bullying prevention launch. Thank you for spending your time with us this evening. I do hope that you have savored each contribution delivered tonight. Bullying is serious and simply cannot go unnoticed and be ignored. I invite you to take part in the cocktail reception. I'm sorry. The vote of thanks, yes, please. I would like to invite, my humble apologies. At this time, I wish to invite Mr. Justin Daniel, the gentleman of the night. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together.
Good evening, everyone. With protocol already established, it is my privilege to have been asked to propose the vote of thanks on this occasion. On behalf of the Supreme Counseling for Personal Development and on my own behalf, I would like to extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all speakers for sharing with us this evening. Firstly, I must mention our deep sense of appreciation to the Honorable Ronald Jones, Minister of Education, Science, Technology, and Innovation, for taking the time out to be here with us this evening. And for this important and much needed program. I am sure your address was well received by all. A big thank you to Pastor Alan Tull for agreeing to say our opening prayers and asking God's blessings upon us. Your words were heartfelt and we will cherish them forever. Allow me to extend my gratitude to the Maria Holden Memorial Trust for making this initiative a reality through the very kind sponsorship. A special thank you goes out to Ms. Donna Clark, Project Manager of the Maria Holden Memorial Trust, who could not be here in person this evening, but felt the need to say a few words and personally offer her support for this program. Mr. Sean Clark, or Sean as we like to call him, and to Ms. Cheryl Arlene McIntyre, we thank you for working around the clock to introduce this program to Barbados. We all would like to acknowledge our gratitude to the management and staff of the Frederick Smith, Lester Vaughan, and Grantley Adams Memorial Secondary Schools and the Wesley Hall Infants for agreeing to have this project piloted in your schools. To all guidance counselors, principals, representatives of the Ministry of Education, Science, Technology, and Innovation, representative of other government other government departments of and other distinguished guests. Thank you for your support. To all performers tonight, this evening, you did well, and we thank you. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, it would be wrong of me to leave without saying a massive thank you to our partners this evening. Supreme Council would like to thank the Maria Holden Memorial Trust, the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, Starcom Network Inc., Slam FM, Screenplay Advertising Network, The Nation Newspaper, Peter Ram, Benjamin's, Ministry of Education, Science, Technology, Innovation, Mr. Jemmett and Divi South Inns Beach Resort, and last but not least to the Hilton Barbados Resort. And obviously, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you again.
Thank you, Justin Daniel. Job well done.
Ladies and gentlemen, at Supreme Council, we like to acknowledge our, we call them Supreme Beings. When they have done well, I think Justin deserves another round of applause. I am actually looking at the faces of the management and staff of Edgeworth Smith, and I can see those smiles that had not for your ears, the smile will probably lock off your neck. Justin also celebrated a birthday on Saturday gone, so we would like to wish Justin happy belated birthday. Can you come forward, please, sir?